Hello and welcome. It is I, the face that runs the place, the voice with the moist. Yeah, that makes no sense. It is the OGGM coming to you live. What's up, boys and girls? How are you this morning? It's a lovely spring morning, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell. The sun is at least mostly out. The sky is kind of blue, which I'll take what I can get considering where I live. And it's time to take a look. It's time to set our sails. It's time to take a look at the compass and see which way the winds of the tabletop role-playing game world news are blowing. What stories are we going to set our sails by that are going to affect the rest of the week? Not a lot of new news, but mostly just follow up on previous news. We do have a couple minor things that I guess are sort of newsworthy, but most of it is just stuff we kind of already know about. So first off, Tales from the Valiant hit its goal, hit its 1 million goal. And the way we know that Kobold started this thing with a little controversy, and apparently they ended this thing with a little controversy as well. Now, that might be the whole topic for a separate vlog, but I'm just going to try and come back this here into small bite-sized chunks and how Kobold handled the beginning and the end of the Tales from the Valiant run. And the way they ended the end of the Tales from the Valiant run is we hit 1 million. We hit 1 million right as the Kickstarter came to an end. It was like, the fairy tale underdog story, like bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, nobody on, and home run. And, Cubs win the series. It was that kind of thing. And they were like, oh my God, we pulled it out right last second. And people are like, congratulations, last second underdog. But then, nope. Turns out there was still 10 hours left. So it wasn't a last minute home run. It was, okay, we're in the 3rd inning. You still got time to go. But they hit the $1 million mark, and they barely scratched past the $1 million mark. So if you kickstand this, sure, why not? Kickstand this, you will definitely get the bare minimum package. You will get the 2 volumes of the physical book, the PDFs of everything they've made so far, the continuing evolution of the Kickstarter playtest, which is why I did not back this, because I'd only seen 3 playtests, and there was nothing in those 3 playtests that made me go, wow, this is so different than the thing that I already have, or the thing that's already out there. So if I'm comparing this to 5th edition or Level Up 5e, there's nothing in these 3 playtests that makes me want to go, yes, this is better than the 5th edition I already have, and this is better than Level Up 5e. This is the title that I want to carry the 5e torch going forward. Because, like I said a million times, dude, you just copy and pasted 5e and changed a few words, which is fine. Right? I mean, we do need something that's going to maintain the 5e engine when Wizards of the Coast shuts it down next year. But yeah, I needed something more exciting. Otherwise, well, there already is a game that does that. Level Up 5e. So why would it? Yeah. So yeah. Now the interesting thing is that even though they hit, mixed, and mastered their Kickstarter goal, they have still made less money than Kelsey Dion's Shadow Dark has made on her Kickstarter. So what does that say for Kelsey? Is her thing just that amazing? Or was it just perfect timing that she did so well? Or was it just, Shadow Dark was the game the industry needed at that point in time? Or was it just because Kelsey had no bells and whistles? She just made a good product, tossed it out there, and it kicked ass. Who knows? Smarter people than I have studied this phenomenon. Moving on. Remember this story? Oh, God. You were the chosen one, Anakin. I have it. Yeah. So Renegade Games, who currently owns the rights to my beloved Power Rangers, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and My Little Pony, who's all about sharing, friendship, being generally nice people, decided that another game company couldn't use the word Renegade. There's a game company out there called, I believe they're called Fat Halfling, or something like that. Yes. So, yes, what is the name of this game company? Yeah, I think it was like Chubby Halfling. Polyhedron Knights is the company that's producing it. Anyways, they're producing a game called Renegade City. Because I guess, Vigilante City was used. Renegade Games says you can't use the word renegade because people might mistake your game for our game company. Now, they're not threatening to sue them. They just have said a cease and desist. And they're thinking, we might go after you because, but, the court's like, you don't own the copyright to the word renegade. This has happened before. Renegade Legion has tried to sue people. Mongoose Publishing had a class called Renegades, and they got tried to sued. And the response from the CEO of Renegade Games is, Renegade's intent is only to protect its brand and prevent any direct or indirect confusion. In this specific case, the game in question bears an extremely strong resemblance to an intellectual property not owned or licensed by Renegade Game Studios. Even an accidental illustration today or in the future is something we would prefer to avoid. Our intent was to prevent any such confusion well before any issues arise, while there's still time to make changes before their production begins. So the reference is that it is extremely that it looks a lot like Grand Theft Auto. So Renegade City looks a lot like maybe Grand Theft Auto. And maybe they're saying, well, we don't want to be associated with a game that kind of vaguely sort of looks like Grand Theft Auto. And Renegade is our word, and you can't use it. Well, I would then say, well, there are people who've used the name Renegade before you. So that you're using your weird background compatible Scott Steiner math. If you open the door to them saying you can't use the word renegade because it's our word, doesn't that mean the people that use the renegade word before you can then turn around and say, well, since you opened the door, does that mean I can now sue you because Jeep has been using the renegade word for Jeep Renegade since the early 2000s. And the word renegade, there was a TV show in the 90s called Renegades because there's a song called Renegade because the family of the creator of that song sue you. If I was Jeep, I'd be like, well, hey, these guys are using our word. Let's sue them. And then that wasn't enough. Now we know Renegade is running their Hasbro products. So we could say, well, this is just Hasbro disease has now hit Renegade Studios. At which point I would say, okay, you are currently shepherding the My Little Pony license. Again, shame on you, because doing what you're doing goes against everything the My Little Pony and the Power Rangers stand for. But then they were like, you know what? That's not enough. We need to associate ourselves with something else that's extremely controversial. So they've decided to associate themselves with the World of Darkness LARP rules. Now, I thought the World of Darkness LARP thing was done. That's like so 1980s, 1990s, right? And LARPing, I was like, when was the last time you heard about LARPing? And just so much controversy associated with LARPing. I mean, people actually being raped and the LARP covering it up. I mean, dear God. I've seen LARPs. I've been to LARPs. Nothing. I'm not going to. No. Stop. OG. No. But yeah. So yes, we know LARPing and vampire has gone hand in hand for a long period of time. About 20 years ago. For reasons I don't understand, Renegade and By Night Studios has decided to bring this bubbling cauldron of controversy back to the surface with everything that else is going on in the world right now. Do you really think now is a good time to bring LARPing back? Because I'm going to say no. No, it is not. The What's Old is New second edition starter box is out. It contains everything you need to play What's Old is New in 3 different settings. Now, again, these guys claim this is the second edition, which means there was a first edition out there, which means it's been around. And yet I've asked, not only here, but on Reddit and Facebook, if anybody has ever heard of this game or played it. The answer was unanimously no. Where was the first edition? Do we need another generic universal role-playing game? I don't know, but it's out. The Diana Jones Award is running their contest. They have announced the nominees for this year's award winner. Remind you that there is no actual Diana Jones Award. The award has been missing since 2021. The 2022 award winner never got the award. So I don't know what this year's winner is going to get, because the award has been lost in the mail. And the people who run the Diana Jones Award have offered, a reward for it. I think of like $5,000. If you're not familiar with the Diana Jones Award, it's an award that has been supposedly running around for a long time now, even though I only ever heard about it for 2 years ago. It awards excellence in various aspects of our hobby. It gets its name from a mention of a character called Diana Jones in the Indiana Jones role-playing game. The award is made out of the burnt remains of the last copy of the Indiana Jones role-playing game, because it is just so universally considered one of the worst role-playing games ever made. The copies were burnt. They took the award, the burnt remains, made an award out of it. And one of the words you can see in the burnt remains is the word Diana Jones. Who's Diana Jones? Some people think it's Indy's mom's name. We're not sure. But yeah, there's an award. The award got lost in the mail, so whoever wins this year won't get Bubkiss. You'll just get the pleasure of being able to say my product won the Diana Jones Awards. Interestingly, of the nominees, Radiant Citadel is nominated. So for the 2023 Diana Jones Excellence in Gaming. Excellence in Gaming. I can't speak of any of the other nominees because I don't know them well enough, but I can say, well, you're nominating Coyote and Crow, which is plagued with multiple controversies and some really horrendous things that came out of the mouth of the creator. But you're also nominating Radiant Citadel, which of the 5e products might be the worst. I don't know. I mean, it's a toss-up between, is Strixhaven the worst thing you've made, Wizards of the Coast, in the last 10 years, or Radiant Citadel? Radiant Citadel, probably because it literally wrote itself, and it was just awful writing, awful art, awful controversy, people claiming they were LGBT and turned out they weren't, people were claiming they were disabled and turned out they weren't, people who just, phoned it in. I mean, just everything about Strixhaven, Citadel, these other ones, copies of this game still sitting on the shelves at Game Store, not moving, and you're picking this, of everything that came out in 2022 from Wizards, as one of the best products of the year. It's a horrible product. So any legitimacy I might have thought this award had, I got to take with I was like, I don't know how legitimate you are if you're nominating Coyote and Crow as one of the best role-playing games made in 2022, and Radiant Citadel as one of the best role-playing game products that made in 2022, because one, Coyote and Crow's creator, just ugly controversy around that individual, and Radiant Citadel is just awful. It's just it's an awful product. Wizards of the Coast should be ashamed of Radiant Citadel, how bad it is. There's some surveys running around. If you are a freelance artist, freelance writer, or freelance editor, and want the people of the world to know what you think of the current state of how the gaming industry treats you, there's some surveys. Those surveys can be found on places like EN World and survey-taking sites. It's a survey, so take that with a grain of salt. We know how, yes, we read every result of the survey. Well, we didn't read it. We programmed a computer to read it, and then surveys, whatever. And finally, Green Ronin, makers of my second favorite, well, maybe my favorite fantasy city, Freeport. As you know, I ran an 8-year-long Freeport campaign at CES Games and Anime. I do love Freeport. Mutants and Masterminds is there. The Age system is theirs. They've made some good stuff. They've made some crap stuff. But I love Freeport. They announced they're making a new game. We don't know anything about it. But we know what it's not. We know that it does not use 5e, Pathfinder, the Age system, or M&M. But other than that, we don't know. It's basically a big, looks like maybe a fantasy sci-fi type game based upon the picture. We've got a woman here with a sword and a pistol. We've got a bear, and then we've got a bare-chested man here casting a spell, and they're fighting cave lizard people. I don't know what's going on. Is the bear a player character? Is the bear somebody's pet? Anyways, this is everything we know about the game is right there. It's called Swords of the Shadow Planet, which makes me think, Thunder the Barbarian, classic, sci-fi fantasy settings. And it's a mystery. Other than that, we don't know. We don't know anything about it. They just sort of announced it out of nowhere. Very curious. And finally, Pirate Borg. You can now start pre-ordering Pirate Borg that will be released on September 15th, which is Talk Like a Pirate Day. You can get this from Free League Publishing for $38. It's expected to be released on September 19th, International Talk Like a Pirate Day. Now, yes, you're going to say, but Pirate Borg's already out. It's been out for a while. People have played Pirate Borg. People have made supplements for Pirate Borg. How are they now saying they're releasing it? Well, this is a brand new remastered hardback version. Comes with a whole bunch of other stuff. Comes with everything that's been created for Pirate Borg since Pirate Borg was initially released, whenever that was, a couple months ago. So yeah, pirates. Who doesn't love pirates? Mayfair Games is back, and they have a new line of products called the Webbed Sphere. They purchased Flying Buffalo in 2021, then turned around and sold Flying Buffalo to Rebellion Games Studios. We shut down in 2018, sold off most of their property. Now they're back, and they're calling themselves Web Sphere Incorporated. I'm not sure what they're going to be doing, if any of their old stuff is going to be back in print, or if they're going to be making new stuff, but Mayfair Games is back, if the name sounds familiar to anybody. They made some stuff in the past. Beetle and Grimm has announced that they will be making a legendary edition for the Fendelver thing that's coming out in October. So this will be a huge box with all sorts of physical props and things and cards and badges and basically a lot of money for swag for Fendelver. And that seems to be it for the tabletop role-playing game news that has nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast or the OSR Wars. Because we know the OSR Wars are continuing. Wizards of the Coast is up to its usual level of nonsense. And apparently James Ward got kicked off of a classic TSR board because the creators of the board did not know who James Ward or Margaret Weiss were. James M. Ward, Margaret Weiss, kicked off a board claiming to be a classic D&D, classic TSR board, and they got kicked off of it. Yeah, that falls under the What the Fuck Wizards of the Coast. So we'll talk about that in a separate. Till then, I've been the OGGM. If you appreciate this tour of all the tabletop role-playing game news, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, yes, you, I'm looking at you. Please take a moment to subscribe. Help me hit 2,000 subs by the end of the year, and we'll do something crazy. Got a lot of other stuff percolating in the tabletop role-playing game news coffee pot that we might get to today, depending upon how well the brain's working. But for now, have a great day. Stay warm, stay safe. It looks like it's going to be a nice day, but who knows? So till next time, get off my land.